After writing enough content to literally fill a book, the thought to actually write one may cross your mind. In this week's Hot Seat episode, Jeff is wanting to write a book but is stuck on how to position it. Who do I write for? Should it be an actual book or a lead magnet? Jonathan shares with Jeff that the positioning of a book is by far the hardest part, but if you decide to write a book, go all in and write the damn thing. I'll be back at the end to recommend another episode. Enjoy.
Jeff, book stuff. This might require a longer conversation, but what's pressing right now with it?
It probably will. The real short nutshell is I've been writing for a long time. I've got a lot of content. I've got many pages written, and I'm trying to kind of narrow it down, edit it down to a coherent book. And I think the struggle is trying to really decide who my audience is and who I'm writing for, and what is the purpose of the book, and is it meant to be kind of a lead magnet of sorts? Is it meant to be sort of a kind of an accompaniment workbook to my coaching program? Is it meant for a wider audience? And I'm wrestling with those tensions of recognizing that it's I work primarily with men dealing with a lot of body and eating issues, and so like there's a part of me that wants to write this book specifically for men dealing with body and eating frustrations, and there's another part of me that's like, well, there's a much wider audience of people, both men and women, that and so, and I've been told by a lot of people to like write the book for that kind of narrowed, niche down, ideal client avatar person, especially if I believe that's where I can be of most service, and that is an underserved market that needs some help. But also it was great listening to your podcast, recognizing that there will probably be many books that I will write. It doesn't all have to get into this one. And obviously the first one, I think I'm overthinking it and just having a hard time kind of narrowing it down. So that's where I'm at.
You're gonna overthink everything always with books. That doesn't go away. I mean, the book packaging and positioning is the hardest part of the process for me.
Yeah.
By far. The packaging, the positioning, the scaffolding through which you build the thing. That's the hardest part of the process for me, without a doubt. What I will say, first and foremost, is that if you're going to write a book, write a fucking book. Don't screw around. If you want to do something as a lead magnet, build a checklist. It's going to work better than a book. If you're going to do a book, do a book.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean you have to do a book. But if you feel that urge to, you do a book. Now, you might decide and probably depending on what I'm gonna mute some folks. You probably want to decide based off of where you are and how much time you have and the resources that you have at your disposal, the realities of what that book might do for you at this point in time. Like I wrote 11 books before I went the traditionally published route, before I went the mass market route. Now, that was probably inefficient, if I'm honest, but that's the reality of it. And so when in saying that, and the only reason that I bring that up is I had a conversation with Dean Somerset this past weekend. He was also at an event that I was at, for anybody familiar with Dean, and Dean has a book coming out. And he said to me, he's like, I don't expect this to sell any copies. He says, this is a CV builder. This is something that I'm going to give to my clients, to give to other people. Now, he got published by, I think he's with Human Kinetics. So he is published, but like Human Kinetics doesn't give you an advance. They pump out tons of books. Like their model is basically splash the market with all of these niche subjects. And they put it into the machine and get the thing out. And so he understands that that's what he wants to get out of this book. Like intellectually, it's interesting and fun for him to do. Professionally, he knows that the book is not going to make him money, but the book is going to get him more speaking stuff. The book is something that he's going to be able to get to his clients. And then, of course, I'm sitting beside him. So I went on Amazon and pre-ordered a book right beside him and said, at least you sold one. And so he's going to sell some, right? So the first thing I think is to understand the realities of what you want to get out of the book. I mean, even if it's just like, yo, I want to practice writing a book. Because if you spend the money to hire a good developmental editor, which we can talk about the process to find one, basically work backwards from the books you like and just ask those people who their editors are. But if you go through the process of hiring a good developmental editor, they will make you so much better. They will clarify your thoughts. They will make your work better. And they will make you a better human, because what most people don't admit when they're writing a book is that an author writes a book mostly as an aspirational enterprise. They write to better understand what they're thinking, and they write to more become the type of person that they're writing about.
100%. I can feel that. Yeah.
So it makes you better.
Mhm.
The second part, going into the positioning real quick, is in terms of, I mean, this is like more deep, dense philosophy stuff, but there's two types of value. There's final value and there's instrumental value. And so most value that we think of is what's called instrumental value. Money, having a personal trainer, they all provide instrumental value. Basically, the value is not the end. The value is the means to the end. And so you do something in the hopes that it's going to give you this value that you then are going to use and exchange that for ultimately what you want, which is final value, which is to be happier, more joyful, more confident, more loved. All of those things that the self-help books say, that's words that have largely been bastardized, but actually do mean a lot. And they mean something different to all of us. When you're writing a book, the mistake that a lot of people do when they position the book is they position the book for instrumental value and not for final value. And so you're not necessarily writing for men who are 30 who want XYZ. Instead, you're trying to say, you know, why do these men want to get into shape? What is it that they're struggling with? What is it that they're frustrating with? What's their end game? Like, why are they working so hard? Why are they stressed? Why are they struggling? And it may just be conversations of just continually peeling back the onion with them, with the people who you're writing for. Like, hey, you know, Ben, my friend Ben, I don't know, I'm making up a name, but like, hey, Ben, you're talking to him and you're asking him why he goes to the gym all the time, over and over and over and over again. Peeling back that onion, because him going to the gym and him getting in better shape is the instrumental value. It's not the final value. It's not the reason why they do something. It's not the deep emotional kind of at our core type thing. So once you nail that, you might still decide to position the book to men. You might not, but that will make it much easier to figure out then what material fits in this book and what is really interesting to you, but is something that you can save for something later.
Amber here. Thanks for listening in. This episode was from a group call from Jonathan's online trainer mentorship, where we host hot seats every 2 weeks. The mentorship is where we take anyone doing from $1,000 to $20,000 a month or more and help them scale up. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in learning more about, please DM the word mentor to Jonathan on Instagram at It's Coach Goodman. If you're looking for another episode to listen to right now, I'd recommend episode 268, Self-Publishing versus Traditionally Publishing Your Book. After publishing and selling books every way known to man, Jonathan has an insight or two on choosing whether to self-publish or traditionally publish your book. In this episode, you'll learn the difference in trust when you self-publish versus traditionally publishing your book, why you should self-publish even when traditional publishing is objectively better, and the best way to sell a book and how to find a literary agent. Again, that's episode 268, Self-Publishing versus Traditionally Publishing Your Book. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next week.